Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today we are going to be talking about money in marketing your products or services. I'm going to break it down. We're going to talk about a lot of the posts that you see on social media, and we're also going to be talking about how that's lazy marketing, lazy AF marketing. So let's dive into it. All right. Now, there's a lot of coaches out there who use money as I want to call it a crutch. It's a crutch for them in their content. And what do I mean by that? Let's break it down for a little bit. There's one person in particular who I could think of right now who talks about how she made 6 figures in 6 months. Or there's other people out there who are like, here's how you can make $100,000 by the end of the year. Or I've made $50,000 cash in this month, and that's more than I made in a year working a 9-to-5. This is all fine and dandy. However, this is the other observation that I'm going to bring up in this episode. When you market with money, you trigger people. We're going to get into that later, but just sit with that for a second because, like I said, we're going to get into that later. The reason why I bring it up is because a lot of coaches and a lot of experts and authorities, whatever you want to call them, they show up online and they use money as evidence for their success. And I like the way that Gary Vaynerchuk talked about it in a piece of content that people have been using that audio, whatever. They've been using that soundbite for a lot of other videos across the internet where collectively we need to redefine success. A lot of people use money as a marketing tactic to market to other people that they are successful. And when you rely on money as a marketing tactic, it is lazy marketing. You're not actually getting to the crux of connecting with other people. You're not actually getting to the crux of creating and establishing a relationship. You're not actually speaking to the problem of the person who you're talking to. What you're doing is you're kind of like shortcutting it. You're shortcutting it by saying, hey, you have this problem, but it's possible to get here. Here's how. Or like, hey, you want this? Here's how you can get it by working with me. And that's like, I would never market myself that way. Maybe a couple times. But if you can market yourself without money, and you can do that successfully, if you can market yourself successfully without using a statistic like how much revenue you make in a day, or how many dollars are in your bank account, or whatever. If you can successfully market without those statistics, you are actually marketing. Like you're actually doing the work. Because I love the way that Seth Godin puts it. Marketing is like finding a purple cow. And money isn't a purple cow. Money is so easy to use. That's why I say it's lazy. Because you could easily say, like anybody could say, oh, I made $50,000 this past month. Okay, great. I made over $50,000 worth of sales this month too. But you don't see me taking home all that fucking $50,000. All right? That's fake news. They're like, oh yeah, I made $50,000 this month. Okay, great. What were your friggin' expenses? What was your take home? How are you allocating your profits? What is your equity? Like, what's your stake in the business? What are your assets? Like, I bet you none of those coaches can actually speak to any of those things, because a lot of these business coaches who are making multiple 6 figures that their mind is spinning over their neck, they've never taken an accounting class. They don't fucking know the first thing. Why would they do that? They could just hire an accountant for that. Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you don't actually understand how money flows through a business, how are you going to actually coach people on how to run a business efficiently? A portion of business is accounting, whether you like it or not. A portion of sales, a portion of liabilities, a portion of anything that has to do with business is a portion of accounting. You don't have to become an expert in accounting to be the best business person. That's not what I'm saying. But if you were to go look at the curriculum for a bachelor's degree in business, 1 or 2 accounting classes are there, because it's good to have a foundational understanding of how the services or merchandise for companies move and how the money moves with it. So I think I'm starting to get like worked up on a bit of a tangent here. But the point is that when people are using money to market their services, market their products, market their business, market how they did it, they're starting to strike a nerve and trigger a scarcity feeling within people where you haven't made this much money, you desire to make this much money, this can help you make this much money. And guess what? It can't. I'm gonna shit on your parade today. It's not gonna help you make that much money. All right? I'm sorry. I'm not really that sorry. I'm gonna just be so honest with you that you're gonna love me for it. Nothing can help you make that much money except, this is a big except, for yourself. You can help you make that much money. You are the most powerful being in your business. You have one of the most powerful tools at your use in the world. Actually, two of the most powerful tools. Actually, no, maybe arguably just one. You have your intuition. You can tap in to that feeling. You could tap in to what you're thinking, and you could be like, yeah, this is the right step forward, or no, it's not the right step forward. And guess what? When somebody markets with money, they're trying to create a loophole through that intuitive system, because your logical brain is like, well, I know that I need to make that much money for my business to be working, or I know that I want to be making this much money for my life to be different. That's great. Your life absolutely can look different with that much money. I guarantee it. I guarantee a lot will look different if you had that much money. But you want to know what? The only person who can get that much money is you. And the only person who can feel their way and make the decisions that need to be made and know that they're the right decisions is to get to the point in time where they need to make those decisions. When you know, you know. It's true. When you know, you know. And that is something that no business coach is ever going to tell you. That you hold the secret sauce. You hold all the cards. Because they want you to think that you need one of their cards. You don't need anybody's cards. You have your own cards. That's the coolest part about you being you. Because your cards are different from everybody else's cards. What matters is how you talk about them, how you share your stories, how you share those experiences, how you share those cards with other people. That's what matters. And if you're just going to constantly rely on one card, oh, I made 6 figures in 6 months, here's how you can do it too. What does that do? How does that help people? All you're doing is spoon feeding them. And people don't learn that way. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the number one teacher in life is failure. I think I've already had an episode on this, but just to make it maybe a little bit more clear. Failure is life's best teacher, because when you fail at something, you learned exactly what not to do, or what you were doing that wasn't producing the result you were looking for. And guess what? For myself, when I look at my business venture and adventures, I'm going to say adventures, for the last 3-4 years now, what was I doing? I was investing stupid amounts of money into business coaches, instead of investing time and energy into myself. I was constantly seeking the answer outside of myself instead of coming to understand that I am the answer and I hold the answer and I have the stories to be able to share, and those stories contain portions of answers. There's absolutely nothing that 6 figures in 6 months is going to be able to get you. And I bet you, because there was a person who told this to me, and I truly do believe this saying, because, well, maybe not entirely, but I definitely can see what it is that she means after having heard her say this, that when you make quick money like that, when you make quick money, 6 figures in 6 months, let's say, right? When you make that quick money, it doesn't necessarily stay. And a lot of the time, I have seen that to be true. Because you don't know how to really use it. You haven't learned the lessons around it. Now, I think a lot of people find themselves in these adversity stories, or these I come from nothing stories, because they are learning the lessons about what to do with the money first before they get the money. And then when they get the money, guess what? Then it's like they're on top of the world, but they had to go through the lessons first. Which would you rather? Getting the money and not going through the lesson and then it blowing it and not having anything left? Or learning the lesson and learning it early on and then learning, oh, this is what I need to do when it comes in, and this is what I need to do when I get it. And then doing those things, taking those actions, and also getting more and more and more and more and more. Like, would you rather have the first scenario or the second? I know that for myself, I would rather have the second. And granted, it might suck in the moment sometimes, but that's life. It's just how things go sometimes. And that's okay. I would rather have it now at 30 than at 60. So pick your poison. That's kind of how I'm looking at this. Teach their own. If you want to pick it later on, by all means. Everybody has a different timeline. Everybody has a different life. Everybody has a different purpose. And that's okay. We're not all meant to have the same stories. That's why you have your cards. They're your cards. Nobody else's. I feel like I've definitely gotten very carried away, because I was like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about I don't even remember what I said I wanted to talk about. I said I wanted to talk about, what did I say? Relying on money to market your business. I think I did cover quite a bit about marketing your business with money, but ultimately you want to market your business with your stories and your experiences, because that's what you're going to create a foundational connection with people on. And that's what's going to bring more and more people into your world, because people are going to be like, oh my God, I had the same experience. How did you deal with it? What did you do? Oh my God, how can I do that? And that's the secret sauce. When you speak to their problem in such a way that it's through your own experiences, and then they can see themselves in the experience. Like think about movies, right? Think about, I love Marvel. Okay, so I'm gonna use the Avengers. Think about Tony Stark or Loki. Tony Stark started out as this narcissistic guy, and he was focused on himself and his business, and he was all about the glamour and making the money, and he wanted the reputation, and he wanted to be known for being Iron Man. That's why he let everybody know that he was Iron Man at the end of the very first movie. I am Iron Man, right? It's me. I did that. He wants the credit. But then what happened by the time Avengers Endgame came out? He was the first guy to sacrifice himself when the going got tough. Maybe not the first guy, but he was the one who took the play. He took all the stones and he did the snap. Spoiler alert for everybody who hasn't seen Avengers Endgame. Totally didn't even recognize that I was going to be using this analogy. But he was the one who was let me sacrifice myself so that all of these people who have perished from Thanos can return And all of the people who have come from Thanos can stay, because he didn't want his daughter to be lost, because he didn't want to regress 5 years. He wanted to keep the people who have come, and he wanted to bring the others back. And it took one person, and one is a hell of a lot less than half of a planet. And people see themselves in that. That's the hero's story. It's the hero's journey. That is the ultimate storytelling experience when you go to tell your story. How are you using the hero's journey? How are you implementing that in your content, in your videos, in your podcasts, in your whatever? Literally, how are you implementing the hero's journey on a daily basis? Because that is going to be what people resonate with, and that's going to be what creates the connection with people. That is going to be what leads to massive results in terms of sales and business online. JS, because I've been doing this for a little while. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. The spiel is always the same. I kind of feel a little weird saying that, but it truly is. If you could take 2 minutes to leave a review, I would greatly appreciate it. Next time, I have the list of topics right here with me that I do want to talk about, and or that I have said oh yeah, that's a different story for a different day, but I haven't decided which one is going to be next. So in other news, thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.